Welcome, everyone. My name is John Brenneman, and I am the president here at MOA Vacations, and I'm joined today by Scott Newcomb from Seabourn. Want to thank everybody for joining us. A couple of things before we get started. As we do with all of these webinars, we are recording it. We will upload it to our YouTube channel, and then tomorrow we'll send everybody an email, and that email will have a link to this webinar so you can rewatch it at your convenience. I always like to point out that we start right on the hour, so if during Scott's presentation or during the Q&A, I guess at any point during the presentation, if you hear something that you want to revisit or share with someone, just kind of make a note of what time it is. And then when you get the video, if it's 25 minutes after the hour, you can fast forward to that part and rewatch or revisit that part of the presentation. I mention this all the time, but in our fiduciary responsibility to take care of the travel for the MOA members. That includes any guests, so any family and friends that travel with you will receive all the discounts, all the amenities, all the service, and everything else we talk about today is for both you and anyone traveling with you. So when you do receive a copy of this webinar, feel free to share it with friends and family if there's someone that you thought might enjoy going with you once you decide where you want to travel to. Real quick, MOA Vacations, when I looked, most everyone has been on a webinar before, so I wasn't going to spend a lot of time talking about MOA Vacations, but we always kind of want to mention what makes us unique and why we should be your travel agency of choice for all your vacation travel. The first is our unsuppressed level of service. We are and continue to be the only travel agency in the country that provides travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And that basically means if you have any issues or concerns or problems prior to or during your trip, we will get that resolved to your satisfaction. We do guarantee the lowest price. In addition to guaranteeing the lowest price, we have an amenity program, which we'll talk a little bit about today, of an onboard credit program we have on your upcoming Seabourn cruise. So any questions about MOA Vacations, feel free to give me a call, or you can call and talk to any of the travel consultants here. They can answer those questions. But to be clear, we are a full service travel agency. We do all the cruise lines, all the tour companies, hotels, everything. We're specialists in vacation travel, and we'd like to be your travel agency of choice for all of your future vacation travel. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Scott. Scott's taken an hour plus out of his day to talk to us today, and he's going to talk to us about Seabourn. So Scott, take it away.
Amazing. Thank you so much, John. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And I definitely just want to give a lot of credit to John and his team. They are exceptional travel professionals. They are going to take care of you better than anybody else. They're extremely knowledgeable and, I feel fortunate to be here today to talk to you all a little bit about Seabourn. All righty. Give me one moment here and we'll get going. So we kind of already did the intro, but I'm Scott Newcomb. I am the business development manager here in Kansas City and in the Midwest, and I'll be taking care of you and telling you a little bit about Seabourn today. So Seabourn, we are a ultra luxury cruise line, and I'm going to tell you what that means and why hopefully Seabourn will be a great choice for you. I'll give you a little bit of an overview about our product as a whole, as well as some of our top destinations and promotions as well. So with that, we'll get started with a brief video. All right, who's ready to cruise? Hopefully that got you a little bit excited to talk here about Seabourn. So, so Seabourn, we like to say we are a ultra luxury cruise line, and there's a lot that goes into that. But there's different categories of cruise lines. So you have kind of the mass market cruise lines that are typically the mega ships that you would expect, 4, 5, 6,000 plus guests on there, and those are wonderful cruise lines, and they're a fantastic experience. But some people don't want that large cruise ship experience, don't want to have to deal with lines and crowds. And then if you think about the caliber of food and service that you can expect with 6,000 plus guests, you get what you pay for with that. You then have premium type of cruise lines, which are typically 1,000 to 3,000 guests, and then luxury cruise lines, which are typically 1,000 or fewer guests. Now, Seabourn, we kind of consider ourselves in a class of our own. We call it ourselves a ultra luxury cruise line, and we have our smallest ships have 260 guests on them and up to 600 guests. We have virtually a 1-to-1 staff to guest ratio, so that we can really provide top-notch service, really make sure we're giving personalized and specialized service to you. Additionally, it's totally all-inclusive, all of the food, all of the wine, drinks, amazing entertainment. You have a personalized cabin steward that will take care of you. And even this is one thing that we love to bring up, unlimited caviar. So last time I went on one of our ships, I think I paid for my entire cruise and the amount of caviar I had. It's just, it's one of those fun things that you might as well have it while you're there, and it's great stuff. So let's talk about a little bit about our ships. So we have the newest fleet of ships in the entire luxury category. So our first 3 ships are the Odyssey, the Sojourn, and the Quest, and those just have about 450 guests on there. Next 2 are the Encore and the Ovation, which have 600 guest capacity. And our very new ships are the Venture and the Pursuit, and those are expedition ships. They have only 260 guests on there, and it's a really unique class of ship that I'll talk about a little bit more as we go on, but they can go to places like Antarctica, down the Amazon River, and really deliver some unique experiences. Now, when some people think of a luxury type of cruise, they might think it's a little bit of a stuffy environment. Well, I can say that with Seabourn, that is not the case at all. Well, how we like to country club with country club elegance. So typically there's not a ton of people that you'd see, wearing suit jackets and that type of thing. Mostly in the evenings, people would be dressed in maybe slacks and a dress shirt, that type of thing. That's much more of a country club type of environment versus a stuffy, uptight environment. It was really nice, kind of country club relaxed type of environment. In addition, we really design our ships to encourage socializing. So you can see kind of these, smaller type of pools, hot tubs. We bring in a lot of great live music and entertainment. We have a lot of dancing on our ships typically. And then the bottom left, you see one of our bars here. So it's a completely circular type of bar, which encourages everybody to kind of socialize and talk amongst each other. Additionally, our staff is phenomenal. They're typically going to know you by name, remember the drink that you ordered yesterday or a couple days ago, and really are going to go out of their way to get to know you and make you feel special on these ships as well. So let's talk a little bit about our amazing, amazing cabins, or really I should just say suites, because that is where Seabourn cabins start, is at the suite level. We do not have anything like a inside cabin on Seabourn. All of our cabins are suites. They're typically double the size of what you might think of like a standard cruise line. In addition, let's go to the next slide here. There we go. So I wanted to point out in the bottom there, marble countertops, massive bathrooms, top-notch molten brown bathroom type of amenities. We have amazing mattresses, pillows, all are the best of the best. They all have verandas and a huge cabin as well. Now with these cabins, they also come with 2 cabin stewards that are there to basically be your personalized butler in a way. So whatever you're looking for, they will take care of you. If you want champagne in your room every single day, if you want a bottle of wine in your room every single day, if you want caviar delivered at 5 p.m. every single day, they will do that for you and be glad to do it for you. We have the absolute best service in the industry, and they're there to take care of you. Now, one of my favorite parts is certainly the food. And there's a lot of cruise lines that would probably say they have fantastic food. Well, there's only one cruise line that can say they have an exclusive partnership with the top chef in the entire United States, and that's Seabourn. So this is, I'm talking about Thomas Keller, and he is the only American chef who has 2 restaurants with 3 Michelin stars. Only American chef that there is, which is pretty amazing. He is the owner of the French Laundry, which is a very famous restaurant in California. And to give you an idea of what that place is like, the average wait time to get a table at the French Laundry is 5 months, and the average cost of a meal is $700 to $800 before alcohol. So it's a really amazing to have this partnership with Thomas Keller and for him to be our top chef, or our head chef. And then we have an amazing restaurant that he designed called The Grill. In addition, always amazing ingredients. So, instead of, you're not going to get cod and basic fish on board our ships, you're going to get things like halibut, king salmon, lobster, caviar, all that great stuff. So all top-notch dining on board Seabourn. Give you an idea of a couple of our restaurants. So we have Earth and Ocean. This is a really nice one because it's more of an outdoor dining. Thomas Keller's Grill there you see in the upper right-hand corner. And that is completely included, by the way. So Thomas Keller Grill would be, you'd think of it as more of a specialty dining, but that is totally included with when you cruise the Seabourn. And then champagne and caviar, as much as you would like, unlimited caviar and champagne, wine, whatever you're interested in. We have a great sushi bar, and the Colonnade is an indoor-outdoor style dining where you get breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's a little bit more of the casual style of a restaurant. It's absolutely phenomenal. And finally, our premium wine and spirits. Truly top-notch wine and spirits. I'm a huge wine person myself, and I was blown away when I got on board Seabourn and saw all the amazing wines that they serve. I was looking up on Vivino where you can see different details about your wine. And on average, I think the bottles of wine that I looked up that they were serving at the dinner table in the dining room was about $60 per bottle. So really, really high-end, great wines. Now we have several fantastic exclusive Seabourn partnerships. Talk to you a little bit about Thomas Keller, top chef in the United States. We have Adam Tihani, which is a very well-known designer who's designed many of the top restaurants and hospitality venues throughout the world. Andrew Weil is a famous doctor who really specializes in health and wellness, designs all of our spas. And then you might know the name Sir Tim Rice. He's very famous, has done many things with Andrew Lloyd Wright, and things like Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and more. Andrew Lloyd Webber, excuse me. All right, this image kind of makes me chuckle a little bit. The moment you achieve priority boarding. Well, the thing is with Seabourn, everybody has priority boarding. We only have a few hundred people on the ship, so there's never any lines. You never have to wait for anything, and certainly not when you're boarding. Now, a couple of these things on the left-hand side are Seabourn moments, what we would say, really exclusive signature moments and experiences to Seabourn. So caviar on the surf. When we go to Carambola, we actually have our staff that will go out into the water and serve you caviar and champagne on surfboards. So it's a really amazing experience, and our guests absolutely love it. We also feature a marina day in the warmer weather destinations where we open up the back of the ship, like you can see in that picture, and you can do paddle boarding, kayaking, banana boats, whatever you like to do. It's totally included, just a really fun day in the marinas. Couple more pictures for you here so you can see. serving that great caviar and champagne in the waves. Just such a fun experience while you're hanging out on the beach. And our staff really want to make sure that you feel special and our top-notch staff. I've never encountered people who are so warm and caring and provide such personalized service as on Seabourn. When you first board, you're going to meet the captain and the cruise director. Everyone on the ship is extremely conversational. They always want to know about your day and how you're doing. And then we have things that we like to call Seabourn moments, where we try to go above and beyond to make your experience memorable. Things that you take away from your experience in your sailing that you never forget. So maybe it's a special occasion, birthday, anniversary, retirement, and we'll do things to acknowledge that and just give you some amazing dining experience. One of my favorite example that I've ever heard of is a lady in Venice. When we were visiting Venice, she accidentally dropped her wedding ring in the canals of Venice. And obviously she was, very upset and was very sad to have that happen. Well, while she experienced Venice for the rest of the day, Seabourn actually hired a private diver to go find her wedding ring in the Venice canals. They cleaned it and it was on her pillow by the time she got back from her day in Venice. It just totally made her day, her week, her month, etc. So that's the type of service and special moments you can expect from Seabourn. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our most popular destinations, and I'll warn you here that I'm going to go through about 10 little itineraries. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. I just want to give you an idea of some of our itineraries and our most popular destinations. So Alaska is certainly one of them. And the great thing about when we go up into Alaska, we're going to hit the most popular ports like Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan. But because of our smaller ships, we can get into so many ports that a lot of the larger ships can't get into. So we go to places like Haines, Prince Rupert Island, Wrangell, and the Misty Fjords. And you'll find that as a pattern throughout the entire world that we can really craft some unique itineraries because of the smaller places and smaller ports that we can go into. Canada, New England is a very popular one because, again, with our smaller ships, we can actually start or end in Montreal. Most of the larger cruise ships cannot go through the St. Lawrence River here, and they can only take you to Quebec. So you get the entire, top destinations in French Canada, and then we go along and go through beautiful Northeast and New England, Nova Scotia, down to Boston and New York. Panama Canal and Hawaii, this is kind of a 2-in-1 here. So you can either do the Panama Canal, starting in Miami, go all the way through the Panama Canal and work our way up to Los Angeles, or you can do a Hawaii cruise and really hit some of the top islands. Wonderful experience to do that. The Caribbean, now I imagine you're probably familiar with the Caribbean and many of the islands down there, and you might not recognize some of these names. Well, again, we get to go to some of the most unique islands throughout the Caribbean that the larger cruise ships simply are not allowed to go to, don't have the capability, or those islands can't get the big ships into their ports. So we go to some really unique islands, and they're not overrun by tourists and really provide a wonderful experience for you. Many of our sailings do go out of Barbados, which is a great home port down there. This image is a little bit outdated, so I apologize for that. Now we no longer go to St. Petersburg after the incidents in Russia. But despite that, Northern Europe is extremely, extremely popular for us because of places like Norway, where we can go deep inside the Norwegian fjords. Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland is just such a popular destination. And another one I'll talk about in a little bit as we go on. So Italy and the Adriatic, the thing I wanted to point out about this is Croatia. Croatia is just an absolutely surging destination. It's so beautiful, and a lot of our guests are really loving seeing the in-depth Croatia. Here we have the Greek Isles. Again, we can go to a lot more of the unique Greek Isles than many of the other cruise lines, as well as Turkey and Israel. And for more of our exotic travelers out there, We start in Singapore. We can go to India through the Middle East. Japan is another very popular destination these days. We can start in Singapore, take you through Southeast Asia, Vietnam, and really dive in deep into Japan, which is amazing. That's totally at the top of my list. I can't wait to get there one of these days. And just a couple more for you here, as well as Australia, New Zealand. Again, especially in New Zealand, being able to go through those fjords and places like Milford Sound is a wonderful experience. Last one is our world cruises. So these are tremendously popular. These usually sell out years in advance because it's just such an amazing experience on Seabourn, getting this wonderful service and this amazing ultra luxury experience. And you get to experience that all throughout the world and really see the entire world that way. So these do sell out very, very quickly. If this is a little bit too long for you, we do have it broken down into smaller segments as well. So now I'm going to talk about our newest development, which is the Seabourn Expeditions. Now, these were the two newest ships that I pointed out earlier on. This is the Venture and the Pursuit. They literally just came out in 2022 and this year, 2023. Only 260 guests on board these ships. Fantastic restaurants, totally luxury experience on board the ship. But then we can also take you into some of the most unique parts of the world where really you'd have a hard time getting into no matter how you travel. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. But for instance, the strengthened hull. So that's an iron hull we put on the front of the ship so that it can actually break through the ice in places like Antarctica. Tons of outdoor space and always environmentally compliant throughout all of our ships. Certainly the most popular destination for our expedition ships is Antarctica. And one of the best parts about this is that we get to make landings on Antarctica. So many other cruise lines, when you see an Antarctica cruise, they only cruise by it. Maybe you get on some Zodiacs and you get close to it, but you never set foot on land. With Seabourn, we actually do landings on Antarctica, which is quite unique, and you get to get really close to the wildlife and see that wonderful nature. Next big one would be going down the Amazon. So going on this wonderful luxury type of experience on board the ship, but then you also get to experience the Amazon River, that jungle experience, do things like kayaking through the rainforest. Absolutely phenomenal. And then lastly, this is the one I kind of hinted at earlier, is Greenland. So Greenland is an amazing destination that very few people can go to or have gone to. And so this is very, very popular to go up into the Northeast Passage, starting in Iceland and going throughout Greenland and throughout the northern parts of Europe and the Arctic Circle. So just like the rest of our ships, top-notch suites. And I wanted to point this out. So these are new suites that we have on board only the expedition ships. So these two pictures are actually the same suite. It's a 2-floor suite with glass walls entirely from the floor to the ceiling, looking out into the beautiful nature around you. You have that upper part where you can sleep and watch TV, and then you have an entire lounge area below you, as well as the veranda, of course. The panorama veranda, so you have a nice big panoramic style window in front of you, and it also has, of course, a veranda, and here are those beautiful bathrooms. We have the fantastic spa and wellness area on these ships as well, and all the wonderful restaurants and amenities that you'd expect on any of our ships. So it's really an amazing way to experience some unique parts of the world that are just completely untouched, tons of wildlife and nature that very few people get to go to, but you get to do it in luxury and in style. Now, these are meant to be a little bit more of an active experience. So you get to do hiking, snorkeling, scuba diving, Zodiac, kayaks, and I'll even show you our submarines here as well. So this is pretty cool. We have two submarines that we can take out. They are additional cost. Obviously, this thing is a little bit above and beyond, but a really unique experience to be able to go in a submarine in Antarctica or a place like the Amazon River. So the seats that you sit on, they're basically a 360-degree seat, can turn all around you, and you're in this glass dome, and it feels like you're basically just exploring the underwater world. And there's almost, it feels like there's no glass in between you and the water right next to you. It's an amazing, amazing experience, very immersive into the ocean that you're visiting. So those typically do get booked out pretty early in advance. So you definitely want to book those up when you can. And lastly, with the Seabourn Expeditions, this is a great perk. We have an entire Seabourn Expeditions team of 24 experts on board the ships with you. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see the Helly Hansen jackets on these expeditions. We also give you these fantastic high-end jackets, a beanie, Seabourn water bottle, and we have warming closets so that when you put these in your closet in a place like Antarctica, your clothes get warm for whatever you'd like to do out in the wilderness that way. So these people are comprised of wildlife experts, scientists, historians, and naturalists. They will take you out into the zodiacs. They'll go walking with you in Antarctica. They will host discussions and let you know everything that you need to know about these destinations. And they're there for you. They're just absolutely amazing, so knowledgeable about these places that you're going to be visiting so that you can really get to know about those unique destinations. So again, you get that ultra luxury feel with the expedition team members on board. You have zodiacs, kayaks, even submarines if you want them. And it's that high-end, all-inclusive experience. It's just a wonderful way to experience the world and some really interesting parts of the world that not many people get to go to. And you certainly don't have to take my word for it. Here's some of the many, many awards that we've won from all sorts of different venues and outlets that have named us the top cruise line in the world. Now, finally, I'm going to go through just a couple of promotions that we have going on right now. This is the set sail event. So we are giving you up to $1,500 per person off your air right now. Typically, when you book a sailing, it's a 25% deposit of the full fare, but we're also offering a reduced deposit of just 10% of the fare as well. So that's a huge savings on air. And then we have some MOA exclusive amenities as well for booking with John and Brenco. All right, on the left-hand side, I wanted to point out this as a featured sailing that John and his team are offering as a group opportunity, starting in Barbados, going through some of those beautiful Caribbean islands, and then heading out in St. Martin. That will include that surf, caviar in the sea type of experience, which is so popular with our guests. And starting at just $3,500, you can do this wonderful experience. In addition, so this is in 2024, and you can see the amenity in the bottom right-hand corner. You can get up to $300 extra onboard credit as well for booking with John. But that's pretty much what I have for you today. Hopefully I gave you an idea of what makes Seabourn so special as an ultra luxury brand, and I hope you can experience somewhere in the world with us soon. So thank you for your time today, and thank you, John, for the opportunity today as well. And I'll give it back to you.
Well, thank you, Scott. A lot of great information. So if everybody kind of looks, if you kind of put your cursor at the bottom of your screen, if you haven't done this before, you'll see a box that says Q&A. So Scott and I are going to hang around, answer any questions that you might have. If you want information on a specific itinerary or a specific date, we have our telephone number and our email address up on the screen. For sure, get a hold of us. We have ample staff that's available that would love to help you plan your next vacation. So while we wait to see if any questions pop up, I had a couple of things, Scott, if you didn't mind. So
Sure.
we looked briefly at the 2024 World Cruise, and you mentioned that you still have space available. Do you still have space available on the entire world cruise or just the segments?
As far as I know, we do. I haven't checked on it recently, but
Yeah.
they do get booked up pretty quick. So if that's something that people are interested in, definitely encourage giving a call soon.
We've seen a lot more interest on world cruises in the past couple of years. I think more and more people are taking the advantage of doing their bucket list kind of itineraries or cruises now, since everything was shut down there. As you probably recall, Scott, there was a period of time where cruising was shut down.
Indeed.
Yeah.
A
I
dark
thought
time,
you'd remember. Okay, we got a couple of questions. One other thing, well, we'll just see what the other questions are. Maybe
Sure.
some. Is the $300 onboard credit per person or per cabin?
I, let me
Right.
just check. I think it's per person. Oh, excuse me. It
It's
is
per suite.
I apologize. It's per suite.
Yeah, it's per suite. Because as Scott mentioned, it's an all suite. And so if you looked, it was in the MOA magazine ad. I think we included it in the invitations to this event as well. By the way, Scott, we included a picture in the invitations of the caviar surf
Oh, very
service
nice.
because that's just such a I don't know. It's one of those things you don't know it's on your bucket list till you see it's a possibility, and then you're like, oh yeah, that has to be on my bucket list.
Absolutely.
The question about single supplements, we get this question frequently. I was going to bring it up if Robert wouldn't have, because there are 60,000 single members of MOA, so it is a sizable group of folks that are always looking for those opportunities. So, Scott, can you talk a little bit about the various opportunities as far as for singles with Seabourn?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the ship or on the sailing, but oftentimes we will give a little bit of a discount if you are a single traveler. So you're just gonna have to you're just gonna have to check on the sailing. But oftentimes, typically in the cruise world, when you book a cabin as a single, you have to pay the double price twice. Basically, you're paying twice for one person to sit in that cabin. But oftentimes with Seabourn, we will give it to you at just a slightly higher rate. So yeah, I recommend calling John's team and they can do some price checks for you.
Yeah, we don't often do it unless we have a group departure, not that we couldn't try, but we have done single match before or like a single share program. We don't really get involved in matchmaking per se, but particularly if we have a group going, so we know we're going to have multiple people going, or like the signature groups where we take the whole ship or the entire bus if it's a tour, we have the opportunities to pair you up. So if you're a single gentleman, we would, if we had another single gentleman who was willing to share a cabin in order to avoid that single supplement, we can just put you in contact with each other. And then between talking via phone, email, Zoom, however you converse, you guys can decide whether or not you want to travel together. The same thing with single women. We've done that numerous times. In fact, we have people that we put together for one trip that traveled together that have continued to travel together on an annual basis for several years now. So, but that's if someone's willing to, travel with a stranger. So coming back to the single supplement, to come back to the original question, I think Scott makes a great point in which you should contact us, phone or email once again on the screen, get a hold of an agent that specializes in Seabourn, and then just let them know when and where you want to go. The more flexible you are as far as itinerary, for example, if you say you want to go to Northern Europe as compared to a specific itinerary, or the more flexible you are on the date, if you give us like, I want to go June or July as compared to a specific date. Anyway, the point being is the more flexibility you give that agent can go out and come back to you and say, hey, I found something that has a great deal for singles within your time frame, within those itineraries that you want to go to. So put us to work. Okay, here's a question I'm not even going to try answering because it's kind of a question I have as well. I don't know if you see it, Scott.
Yeah, I
But,
do see it actually. I pulled it
yeah,
up.
in light of a story that was the news a few months ago,
Yep.
can you talk about the safety related to the submersibles or the submarines.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's totally understandable question, concern. And yes, it's kind of bad timing that as soon as we were talking a lot about our submersibles, that tragedy happened. But what you have to know, first of all, this is not deep sea type of exploration that you're doing, which was the main issue with the tragedy a few months back. These submersibles, they'll go down no more than about 1,000 meters down. The weather conditions have to be just right. So sometimes there are cancellations. Based on weather. And they're not going to take any chances if the weather or currents or whatever it may be are not just absolutely ideal. And the pilots are highly trained. You as the guest will not be driving it. It is a highly trained pilot of the submersible. So absolutely 100% safe.
Yeah. And submarine or submersible options on excursions have been offered in the past with various cruise lines. Really, I'm sure the concern comes to the whole Titanic thing, but that is literally, that was such deep sea diving. It would be, it's nothing that anybody would do as an excursion. So anyway, but once again, it's optional. If you have any concerns about the submersibles, there are ample other opportunities to see the area other than a submarine. All right, how long will Seabourn be sailing Odyssey before turning her over to the Japanese?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that question is in reference to, so I don't have an answer for that one.
There you go. I had not heard anything as far as Seabourn selling the Odyssey. Had you?
No, I haven't. So
okay.
I'm not sure what that one's about.
Okay, maybe Russ or Nancy could share some light on it. Maybe they heard something we hadn't heard yet. I do know, as in the United States market, all the markets are slightly different. And so Scott and I focus on the US market. And the US market, people like newer ships, they like balconies, and you go elsewhere in the world and they put premiums on different things. For example, typically in the European market, they would rather have a larger room than a balcony. So a lot of European ships you see with not as many balconies are definitely balconies that are much smaller than we have here. The Asian market typically is a market that a lot of the U.S. cruise lines go to sell their older ships as the newer ships come in, because in the Asian market, they don't get the premium for newer ships. If you've done a lot of price checking or you sailed a lot, whenever any cruise line comes out with a new ship, you normally pay a premium to be on the newer ship. And by a premium, I mean, if it's an average per diem of $300 or $400 per person on this ship, a newer ship may command $500 or $600 per person per day as a per diem. Basically, the point being is there's an upcharge for the newer ships. Most ships that are sailing in the U.S. market 10, 20 years down the road will probably have been sold off. I mean, it's kind of the way the industry's been for the last couple of decades. Is they keep building new ships, and then as the ships get older, they sell them off. So hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Yeah.
Oh, she was sold to a Japanese company, so I was not aware of that. Russ and Nancy Davis breaking the news.
I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look into that one. So apologize, I don't have the answer to that question.
Okay. Can you let us know, Scott, and I'll have somebody email Russ and Nancy and let them know? Or we can put it as a little teaser in the email we send tomorrow with the video. So
absolutely, I love it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have the information there from Russ and Nancy?
I just mentioned the cruise line.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can't get an answer to that question and include it when we send it to everyone. If there's any other questions, let us know. Just as a reminder, you're invited to bring friends and family along on any Seabourn Holland America, any tour, any cruise that you book for us, you can bring your friends and family along. And certainly would like to invite you to do that. We will upload this to, first we have to download it, but we'll download the video from Zoom, and then we will upload it to YouTube, and then tomorrow we'll send everybody an email which will include a copy of this presentation. It does not look any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us today, or if you're watching this on tape delay, for lack of a better term, or I guess watching it on demand, thank you as well for taking some time out of your day to learn more about Seabourn. And on behalf of myself, Moa, and everybody who has signed up for this this webinar, I want to thank Scott for taking time out of his busy schedule to sit down with us, share more with us about Seabourn. And whenever I wrap up, we get a couple of last minute questions. So before I turn it over to you, Scott, is there an 18 and over policy to be on the ship? I think what Steve is asking is to be in your own cabin, correct? Are maybe they're asking how young can people be and sail on your ships? Well,
no, you can bring people underage as long as they're with their guardian.
Yeah, there's some kind of infant policy though, right? 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 12 or older, but teenagers.
12 years or older.
I have to take a look at that one. It's been a while since that one's come up.
Okay.
So, you don't see a whole lot of kids on Seabourn, I'll say that much. So.
Okay. But to be in a cabin on your own, you have to be 21.
What's that?
How old do you have to be in a cabin on your own? 21?
I don't know if there's an age policy on that.
Okay.
So yeah.
I have a 20-year-old who's turning 21 and going on a cruise on her own. So I know Royal Caribbean's 21. So
gotcha.
There you go. Anyway. All righty. I guess that's it. Biking has no under 18 policy, no kids. Got it. Okay. Well, we will find out what the policy is on Seabourn and include that in tomorrow's email as well. All righty. So I'll try this again. So thanks everyone for attending, and I'm going to turn it over to Scott with our appreciation for taking that time out of his busy schedule. And Scott, I'm going to give you the last word.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity today. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to John and everyone with Moa Vacations. Have a great day.
We look forward to seeing everybody on a cruise soon. Bye, everyone.